Imagine finding a diamond mine so rich that you could pick up the precious stones from the ground with your bare hands. Imagine convincing some of the most powerful and wealthy people in the country to invest millions of dollars in your discovery. Imagine getting away with one of the most audacious frauds ever perpetrated in American history. This is the story of the Great Diamond Hoax of 1872, a scheme that involved two cousins from Kentucky, a bag full of fake diamonds, and a remote site in Colorado that they claimed was a treasure trove of gems. This video will explore how they managed to fool some of the most prominent businessmen and financiers of San Francisco and New York, how they planted their diamonds on the land to deceive the investors, how their fraud was exposed by a young geologist named Clarence King, and what were the consequences and implications of their hoax. But before we get into it, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And if you want to get notified every time I upload a new video, click the bell icon as well. It really helps me out, and I appreciate it a lot. All right, let's get started. The hoax began in 1871 when Philip Arnold and John Slack arrived in San Francisco with a bag full of diamonds. They were both veterans of the California gold rush and had worked as miners and prospectors for years. They claimed that they had found a rich diamond field somewhere in the western wilderness, but refused to reveal its exact location. They said they had collected the diamonds by simply picking them up from the ground, where they lay scattered among other precious stones. They deposited their diamonds in the vault of the Bank of California, founded by William Chapman Ralston, one of the most prominent bankers and businessmen in San Francisco. Ralston was intrigued by their story and wanted to learn more about their discovery. He introduced them to some of his associates, who were also eager to invest in the diamond field. Among them were General George S. Dodge, a former commander of the Union Army, Horace Greeley, a famous newspaper editor and politician, Asbury Harpending, a wealthy adventurer and speculator, and Charles Tiffany, the founder of Tiffany & Company, the renowned jewelry company. The investors persuaded Arnold and Slack to sell them a share of their diamond field for $660,000, about $15 million today. They also hired a mining engineer named Henry Janin to examine the diamonds and verify their authenticity. Janin inspected the stones and declared that they were genuine and worth at least $150,000. He also agreed to accompany Arnold and Slack to their diamond field, along with a group of other investors and experts. In June 1872, Arnold and Slack led Janin and the other investors on a long and arduous journey to their diamond field. They traveled by train from St. Louis, Missouri to Rawlins, Wyoming, and then continued on horseback through the rugged and remote terrain of Colorado. Arnold and Slack deliberately took a confusing and circuitous route to keep their secret location hidden from their followers. They also made sure to avoid any towns or settlements along the way, to prevent any leaks or rumors about their expedition. After 4 days of riding, they finally reached their destination, a barren and desolate area in the northwest corner of Colorado, near what is now called Diamond Peak. There, they showed Janin and the others a large field covered with diamonds and other gems, such as rubies, sapphires, emeralds, and pearls. The stones were scattered on the surface of the soil, as if they had been washed down by a stream or a glacier. The sight was dazzling and astonishing, and the investors were thrilled and amazed by their discovery. They spent 2 days collecting samples of the stones, filling several bags with them. They also staked out claims on the land, marking their boundaries with wooden stakes and flags. They estimated that the field was about 2 miles long and half a mile wide, and that it contained millions of dollars worth of gems. They congratulated Arnold and Slack on their luck and genius and thanked them for sharing their fortune with them. They then returned to San Francisco, where they announced their discovery to the public. They formed a company called the San Francisco and New York Mining and Commercial Company with a capital stock of $10 million. They also hired prominent lawyers and politicians to secure their legal rights to the diamond field. Among them were Samuel Latham Mitchell Barlow, a New York attorney who represented many wealthy clients; Benjamin F. Butler, a U.S. congressman who helped amend the General Mining Act of 1872 to include diamonds as valuable mineral deposits; and George H. Williams, the U.S. Attorney General, who issued an opinion confirming that diamonds were covered by the mining law. The news of the diamond field spread like wildfire across the nation and sparked a frenzy of excitement and speculation. Many people wanted to buy shares in the company or to join the next expedition to the diamond field. Some even tried to find their own diamond fields in other parts of the West, hoping to strike it rich like Arnold and Slack. The Great Diamond Hoax had successfully fooled some of America's richest men and ignited a diamond craze in the Wild West. However, not everyone was convinced by the story of the diamond field. Some skeptics and experts questioned the authenticity and origin of the stones and wondered how such a large and rich deposit could have remained undiscovered for so long. They also doubted that Arnold and Slack were telling the truth and suspected that they had planted the diamonds on the field to deceive the investors. One of these skeptics was Clarence King, a young and brilliant geologist who had been exploring and mapping the western regions for the U.S. Geological Survey. He had heard about the diamond field from a friend and was curious to see it for himself. He decided to visit the site without informing Arnold, Slack, or any of their associates. He hired a guide and followed their trail from Rawlins to Diamond Peak. He arrived at the field in October 1872 and immediately noticed something strange. The stones were not native to the area, but had been brought from different places around the world. He recognized some of them as coming from India, Brazil, South Africa, and Europe. He also saw that they had been artificially polished and cut, and that they had been placed on the ground in a careless and unnatural way. He realized that he was looking at a fraud, and that someone had deliberately scattered fake diamonds and gems on the field to fool the investors. He collected some samples of the stones and returned to San Francisco. There he contacted Janin and told him what he had found. He showed him his samples and explained how they differed from the ones that Arnold and Slack had given him. He also told him that he had seen no signs of any volcanic or glacial activity that could have produced such a deposit of diamonds in Colorado. He concluded that the diamond field was a hoax and that Arnold and Slack were imposters. Janin was shocked and embarrassed by King's revelation. He realized that he had been duped and that he had wasted his time and money on a worthless venture. He also feared that his reputation as a mining engineer would be ruined by his involvement in the hoax. He decided to cooperate with King and to expose Arnold and Slack as frauds. They wrote a report detailing their findings and sent it to several newspapers in San Francisco and New York. They also gave interviews to reporters and showed them their samples of fake diamonds. They revealed how Arnold and Slack had tricked them into believing their story and how they had planted their diamonds on the field to deceive them. Their report was published in November 1872 and caused a sensation across the nation. It shocked and outraged many people, especially those who had invested in or supported the diamond scheme. It also amused and entertained many others who enjoyed seeing some of America's richest men being fooled by two Kentucky grifters. The Great Diamond Hoax was exposed as one of the most spectacular scams in American history, thanks to Clarence King's scientific investigation and courage. The exposure of the hoax had serious consequences for many of the people involved in it. The investors lost their money and their credibility and faced legal troubles and public humiliation. Some of them tried to sue Arnold and Slack for fraud or to recover their land claims in Colorado. Others tried to salvage their reputation by denying or downplaying their role in the scheme. Some even claimed that they had been part of a conspiracy to expose the hoax, or that they had been testing King's honesty and integrity. Arnold and Slack, meanwhile, managed to escape with most of their money and returned to Kentucky. They had sold their diamonds for cash or bonds and had hidden them in various places. They also had used fake names and identities and had avoided leaving any traces of their whereabouts. They were never arrested or prosecuted for their fraud, and they lived comfortably on their ill-gotten gains. However, they did not enjoy their wealth for long. Arnold died in 1878 at the age of 49 from pneumonia. He left behind a fortune of about $500,000, about $11 million today, which he divided among his wife and children. Slack died in 1896 at the age of 68 from unknown causes. He left behind a fortune of about $200,000, about $6 million today, which he also divided among his wife and children. King, on the other hand, gained fame and respect for his role in exposing the hoax. He was hailed as a hero and a champion of science by many people, especially by those who admired his courage and honesty. He continued his work as a geologist and became one of the most influential and respected scientists of his time. He also became friends with Theodore Roosevelt, who shared his interest in nature and conservation. He died in 1901 at the age of 59 from tuberculosis. The Great Diamond Hoax was one of the most remarkable episodes in American history and a fascinating example of human nature. It showed how greed, deception, and imagination can create a powerful illusion, and how science, reason, and truth can shatter it. But there is one more twist to this story. What if some of the diamonds were real? What if Arnold and Slack had actually found a genuine diamond field somewhere in the West and had mixed it with fake ones to increase their profit? What if they had kept its location secret even from themselves and had never revealed it to anyone? What if there is still a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered by some lucky or adventurous explorer? This is the question that has haunted some people for decades, and that has inspired some to search for clues and evidence of the real diamond field. Some have claimed to have found it or to have come close to it. Others have dismissed it as a myth or a legend, but no one knows for sure if it exists or not. And that is what makes the Great Diamond Hoax so intriguing. It is a mystery that may never be solved. The Great Diamond Hoax of 1872 was a fascinating episode in the history of the West. It showed how two cousins from Kentucky managed to fool some of the most powerful and wealthy people in the country with a bag full of fake diamonds. It also showed how a young geologist named Clarence King managed to expose their fraud with his scientific skills and courage. The hoax had a significant impact on the people and the society involved in it. It affected the fortunes and reputations of many individuals and institutions. It also triggered a diamond fever in the West and highlighted the role of science in verifying mineral claims. It also raised some legal and ethical issues about mining rights in the West. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. If you did, please hit the like button and share it with your friends. It really helps me out a lot. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon to get notified whenever I upload a new video. I post new videos every week on various topics related to history, science, culture, and more. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section below.